Good morning and happy Friday to everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful week. I'm on the mend. I had a cavity break 2.5 months ago and it's catching up with me. I spent in bed all day yesterday in pain. So if I stammer over my words a little bit in this episode, or if I'm a little bit quieter in certain parts, it's only because my mouth is a little bit swollen. But I couldn't go another day without putting an episode out. I committed myself to putting out an episode for this podcast every other day for the time being. And I really want to talk about the brick and mortar store today and dive a little bit deeper into the best/worst job that I ever had in 2015, leading into 2016. I had truly one of the most memorable summers of my life with my aunt and uncle, which is no shock, because every summer I spent with them was just a delightful time, truly. Even though it always had a bitter end for me and my decisions that oftentimes led me down a road that were dark and dreary, my summers with my aunt and uncle were the best. And I had a summer job working at Radio Shack at Arapahoe Crossings, as well as the Parker location, leading into the Glenwood Springs location. So 3 different stores over the course of 2 years. I really wanted to talk about Radio Shack today, kind of give a retrospective and kind of celebrate their legacy in a way. They really were the product of a bygone era. And it's really important to look back at those times, because the brick and mortar store is really what America is lacking right now. Coming out of COVID, I think people really had a much broader sense of connectivity and desire to connect. But Radio Shack really was the magical land of gadgets and gizmos. It really truly was. There was no store like it. Picture this, right? It's the 1980s. Big hair, neon colors, and Walkmans were all the rage. And there, nestled in the shopping mall, stood the mighty Radio Shack, with its shelves bursting with electronic treasures. I can't tell you how many paychecks I burned through at that store. I mean, it seemed like with every dollar and cent that Radio Shack gave me for working there, I put right back into the business. It was crazy. But I was obsessed. I was truly, genuinely obsessed. In the early days, when Radio Shack was just getting sort of a footing in the market, they thrived by catering to the growing demand for consumer electronics. They really did embrace the DIY spirit, providing hobbyists and electronics enthusiasts with a vast array of components, kits, and tools, right? That was where they had a keen eye for trends. And Radio Shack quickly became the go-to destination for the latest gadgets, from portable radios to CB radios, and even their own line of personal computers, the TRS-80 computer. I don't know how relevant that computer would be today in terms of what it contributed to the technological revolution of the personal computer, but the fact that Radio Shack offered their own line of it was truly a remarkable feat, to say the very least. For those of you who don't know, before they were Radio Shack, they were called Tandy, the Tandy Corporation. And the TRS-80 was their line of personal computers. During the 70s and 80s, those were really the heyday of Radio Shack. The company capitalized on the emerging home computer market, rightfully so, introducing affordable personal computers like the TRS-80. I mean, these machines revolutionized the way that people interacted with the technology, not so much the technology itself, which ignited a passion for computing in countless individuals, such as myself. Even though I wasn't around for that time, the time that I was with Radio Shack gave me an astounding love for technology and a wide breadth of skill in customer service. Above all, Radio Shack became synonymous with innovation and accessibility, making electronics a part of everyday life for millions of consumers. But leading out into the 80s and the new millennium approaching, Radio Shack found itself facing mounting challenges. The retail landscape, even to today's standards, is a rapidly evolving landscape. Rapidly evolving. When mega retailers such as Best Buy and Circuit City came on the scene, that's where Radio Shack really began to bleed out. They offered a much wider range of products than Radio Shack, much more competitive pricing, and their extensive marketing budget was far more substantial than any marketing budget that Radio Shack could ever dream to have. Radio Shack struggled to keep up as a result, and its focus on components and DIY kits couldn't compete with the convenience and variety offered by its rivals. And another blow came in the form of e-commerce. You know, I laugh because at the time, Radio Shack did have a website. In 2015, when I worked for them, they did have a website, but it could not have been more inadequate, more laughable. I mean, they didn't even offer a section for people to write reviews on the products. So how would you know that what you're buying is even good? You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know. As the internet gained traction, consumers began to shift their shopping habits towards online platforms like Amazon and eBay, rightfully so. Radio Shack, with its brick and mortar presence, was ill prepared to adapt to this digital revolution. The convenience of online shopping and the ability to compare prices and read reviews at the click of a button spelled trouble for traditional retailers like Radio Shack. Furthermore, Radio Shack's attempts to rebrand and diversify its offerings were met with, I would say, mixed results. In an effort to stay relevant, the company introduced new product lines such as mobile phones and mobile phones. I mean, that was their one claim to staying above the trend, was a merger with Sprint. And at the time that I worked for them, that was their primary focus: mobile phones. How do we stay relevant in this market? Mobile phones. What do we do to drive sales? Mobile phones, mobile phones, mobile phones. That was their focus. When I worked there, one half of the store was Sprint, the other half of the store was Radio Shack. It was insane. Radio Shack's attempts to rebrand and diversify its offerings were oftentimes met with, as I said, mixed results. But in order to stay relevant, the company introduced new product lines. I will give them that. They did. They did introduce new product lines. But it was so far away from what made them a popular consumer choice in the first place. Management issues were also a big problem. There was a high turnover rate for employees, and there was no cohesive business strategy at the time that I worked for them. And that plagued the company's ability to navigate the changing industry landscape effectively. I wasn't around in 2010 with the company, but that's where their troubles really did start to mount. From what I've heard, the company faced mounting losses, store closures, and a vastly tarnished reputation starting in 2010. And then in 2015, Radio Shack filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, signaling a major turning point in its history. I mean, they're still around today. They still have an online store, but they're only online. That's their only footprint as of now. I think they just came back into the scene. If I know correctly, the website just came back online, but it's not even Radio Shack branded products anymore. It's like a mixture of different e-commerce stores kind of being vetted through the Radio Shack filter. From what I understand, I haven't even looked at the website. You know what? Let's do that right now. Let's go to radioshack.com and see what it's like, because I haven't been to it, admittedly. They do have a website. They do. I thought it was a myth. Wow. You know what? Honestly, I can't say that I hate this. Wow. So apparently they have Radio Shack brand products, or Radio Shack bought and branded products, and then they also offer products from several different suppliers, Linens and Things, Pier 1 Imports, Dress Barn, Farmer's Cart, the Franklin Mint, Steinmart, Model Sporting Goods, and Mentor Box. Never even heard of those last four. But the Radio Shack section? Whoa. Whoa, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. I kind of am digging this right now. What the fuck? I mean, it's still very much in its developing stages. Because Radio Shack's website, within the last 3 or 4 months, just came back. It had gone away for a while after the bankruptcy. But from what I see now, I mean, they have something going on here. There is something definitely here. I mean, as of right now, they're offering Edifier speakers. I mean, that's a very substantial audio brand. Not the best, but I mean, a reputable audio brand. Wow. They have a gaming section too. Hobby and DIY. Okay, so they still offer breadboards and such. Fuck yeah, dude. This is exactly... Fuck yeah. This is what they should have been doing in 2015. This would have been so much more... Oh, my God. I'll have to look at that a bit more. That's awesome. From what I see as of right now, this website's actually pretty legit. If you guys get a chance, go to radioshack.com and check it out. It's pretty cool. It'll never beat out, the brick and mortar stores by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, this is pretty goddamn good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty awesome. Wow. Okay, sorry about that, I got distracted. That's pretty cool, I'll have to look at that some more. Their website's actually pretty legit. Like I said, it just came back 3 or 4 months ago. That's awesome. Despite Radio Shack struggling to regain its footing in an increasingly competitive market, ultimately the company's legacy, unfortunately, was overshadowed by its decline, which is a real shame. But I'm hoping that if this website does what it says it's going to do, then it won't just be a trail of nostalgia and fond memories. Hopefully they will come back and be relevant again. I'm hoping. The rise and fall of Radio Shack kind of serves as a cautionary tale for businesses operating in the ever-evolving technology industry. What it really does is it highlights the importance of adaptability, customer-centric. Sorry, guys, I'm having trouble really talking this morning with this cavity. Customer-centric strategies and staying ahead of industry trends, which is important. But you can't have one without the other. Radio Shack's fall can be attributed to a combination of factors, including increased competition, most importantly and primarily, as well as the shift to online shopping and major management challenges. But I think it's very important through all of that, right, to acknowledge the impact Radio Shack had on the electronics industry. I mean, it played a significant role in democratizing technology and fostering a culture of innovation. I mean, the customer base, even when I worked there, was still heavily hobbyists that were returning after years of loyal shopping there. You know, they even though the hobbyists had been kind of alienated, they were still loyal to the brand. You know, and it was so inspiring and yet emotional to think about, because these are guys well into their 60s that have been coming to Radio Shack for 30 plus years. Even after they've been alienated, was the biggest, most inspiring part of that whole thing. I don't know. The company served as a gateway for aspiring engineers, hobbyists, tech enthusiasts. It provided them with a home and the tools and resources to explore their passions. Additionally, Radio Shack's presence in communities created this really broad sense of camaraderie among its customers, unlike any store I've ever been in. The knowledgeable and passionate employees acted as mentors, guiding customers through their electronics journey. They didn't just leave you astray to figure it out on your own, Best Buy. The human touch and community connection are aspects that are often lacking in the impersonal world of the e-commerce stores. I can't remember the last time I had a successful customer service experience with Amazon. The one time that I did use Amazon, I couldn't even get in touch with them, and I never fucking used their customer service line again. Never. Now, while Radio Shack's decline and ultimate bankruptcy marked the end of an era, its legacy still lives on. Their website, baby, I'm hoping, I'm praying for their success. You know what I mean? I'm on the sidelines cheering, man. It really does serve as a reminder that even successful brands must continuously adapt and evolve to stay relevant in a rapidly changing industry. I think it's very important for companies to embrace digital transformation, even companies that are long-standing like Radio Shack. They need to invest in online platforms and create seamless omni-channel experiences to meet the needs of today's tech-savvy customers. That's the only way that you stay relevant in a landscape like today. Now, obviously, I've never been a business owner. I've never been a corporate leader or anything like that. But I can honestly say, from my 12 years of dedicated service and customer service, as miserable and as bitter and as mundane as that experience was, it taught me so much knowledge that I wouldn't even know what to do with. I don't even know what to do with half the knowledge that I have. With the many companies that I've worked for, I computed it out one time. Since graduating high school, I've had 30 different jobs with 30 different companies in 30 different positions. Now, I don't remember every job. I don't remember every company. But the companies I do remember, I remember fondly. And I remember well. But what am I getting at here? So, the rise and fall of Radio Shack is a story of a pioneering brand that captured the imagination of millions of people. it really did provide an outlet for tech enthusiasts. It sparked innovation, and it left an indelible mark on the electronics industry. But as technology advanced and customer preferences shifted, Radio Shack really did struggle to keep up with the changing times. The lessons learned from its downfall can serve as valuable insights for businesses striving to thrive in an ever-evolving marketplace. But I think that if we try a little bit harder to garner and protect those insights and to grow from them, it really is truly a remarkable revolution. But we have to give ourselves a chance. Linus Sebastian from a YouTube channel called Linus Tech Tips, he talks very fondly about the first time he met the CEO of Noctua. Now, for those of you who don't know, Noctua is a PC fan manufacturer, right? And Linus had met the CEO of Noctua, and he went up to him and he's like, "Man, you really do have the best fans. You must have the best team of engineers." And Roland, the CEO of Noctua, was like, "No." And Linus says, "Man, that's a pretty big burn on your engineers, man." And Roland's like, "No, to be fair, we have good engineers. Maybe not the best engineers. But what sets us apart is our product development philosophy. That's what sets us apart." He says, "We have a good team of engineers, maybe not the best ones, but a good team that we give time to do their best work." And that hit me like a ton of bricks, man. I'm like, holy fucking shit. That's it. That's it. You can have the best company. You can have the best team of engineers. You can have the best team of tech enthusiasts that you're hiring on to cultivate some new type of technology, right? But unless you give them time to grow and do their best work, you're not going to have a very long-standing foothold in this technological game. That's the long and short of this podcast. Now, I hope some of these insights have kind of given you some pause and help you reflect on some of the jobs you might have had. Share your experiences with me. I'd like to hear them. And what do you think about the brick and mortar stores? Should they come back and be like they were when Radio Shack was still relevant? All right, guys. I hope you have a great weekend and a good start to your week on Monday. I'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.